Greetings, and welcome to the Building Men podcast, a ministry of Iron Sharpens Iron. You can also see the video on YouTube.
And this is Brian Doyle with Iron Sharpens Iron. We're here with Rex and Thomas, and we're going to do kind of part two of this important podcast about mobilizing men to events, whether they're men's breakfast at your own church, whether it's a retreat, or whether it's something like Iron Sharpens Iron that we tend to host once a year, annually, same time of year, same place. So our last podcast, if you didn't hear it, you want to go back at some point and take a listen. We talked about 3 of our 6 tips. The first one was be patient. Men are different. This is not a women's event. Guys have a low felt need. Guys have a lot going on. If you just look for that initial reaction, you may be disappointed. Give men time. Number 2, need visibility. What that means is you need more than just the men's breakfast announcement and something in the restroom. You need Sunday morning handouts, Sunday morning video, PowerPoint, Sunday morning invite from the pastor right there on the pulpit. That's what you need. We also talked about how it's a Saturday event. It might be at a church, but it's not Sunday morning expanded. It's a Saturday event. It's men. It's male context. It's strong biblical exhortation. It's masculine worship. And it's training, not teaching, not lectures, not expository preaching. It's training. It's designed to complement what the church does on Sunday. But it's not Sunday. It's Saturday. Today, we're going to get into some of the nuances of why some churches seem to excel in mobilizing men, and other churches give me a call and say, I don't know, Brian, we just can't see guys go to this. So we're going to start with this, the personal invite.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing your job, you're sending out the emails. You've done the bulletin inserts. You're doing the little text messages. You're putting the flyers in their hands. Guys are getting the information. For the most part, they're getting the information. They still may ask you, what day is this again? As they hold the brochure, you just remind them graciously, yeah, it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. Men need more than information. They need an invitation. And it's more than the Sunday platform pastor invitation. They need an invitation from guys like me and you.
Yes.
You need to say, hey, you want to go to this? You want to go to this together? You want to head to Iron Sharpens? Maybe we'll get a cup of coffee ahead of time. We'll go at it together. Men, now, here's what happens. Most men will have a kind of a put off on this. Not all men, but many men like myself will go, just give me the information. I'll make the decision. Back to what Rex said last time. I'll run through the grid. I'll determine if I have time for this. Just give me the information. It's another way of saying, get out of my face. I'll make my own decision. But what they really want is to be wanted. They really want to be part of something. They don't just want to go to a place that they can drive to and show up and wonder where their guys are. They also want more than just going with a bunch of guys. They really want somebody to ask them. I would say one of the goals you may want to think about, prayerfully consider, is to put together a team of men and give every guy in your church a personal invitation. Yeah. I'm not talking about personal email. I'm talking about a phone call or a handshake or something that requires them to consider it and also affirms the daylights out of them, that you want them to come with you. That's what we're talking about when we talk about personal invitation. What do you think, guys?
Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, it's so important. And one of the things we talk about in building men's ministry, Ryan, is the importance of building circles and not cliques. And nothing makes a man feel more part of a circle than getting a personal invitation, particularly from a men's leader directly. So it helps to build the circle. It helps to help a man feel included, inclusive, and noticed.
Yep.
And it's also, I also want to underline what you said, it's a great way to strategize as a men's ministry team, is to put together a list and to make sure that each man in your church gets a personal invitation. So that's a great way to strategize as a team, great way to build the circle. But again, there is absolutely no substitute for a personal invitation.
Yep. One of my favorite things to do is Vistaprint, $9.99, 100 business cards. I've wasted $10 on a whole lot less. Okay. And so what I do is I go online. They have all the platforms right there. All you do is go on the front of it. I put "You're invited." On the back of it is I put the date, the time we're leaving, and the time they'll be back. And because we have learned that a guy needs to know when it's going to start and when it's going to end to be able to make that good decision.
Right.
But I tell you what is what's so cool is you just walk around and hand these guys business cards and go, "Hey, you're invited." And it's funny because they stick it in their pocket. And we made a joke earlier the wife goes and gets ready to do the laundry, and all of a sudden she pulls the business card out. Now this guy's going to Iron Sharpens Iron for the day. So just like I said, low cost, 100 business cards, $9.99. You're
Right.
invited on the front.
And so that's a little bit of both information
Yep.
and invitation. So
Absolutely.
a tool like Rex talked about. Now we're going to give you tools. There's
Yes.
plenty of stuff you can download. You can take the initiative and do what Rex is talking about. Sounds like a great idea. What the point of this tip though is that it's been my experience over the years is that churches and church leaders do a pretty good job, if not a better than good job, at passing out the information, at sharing the information. But when it comes to invitation, because they don't need to train and initiate the women to do this, they don't need to train and initiate the youth to do this. That's already happening. It's just by the nature of being young and being female is that those kind of connections and texting and calling, "Hey, you want to go there? I was thinking of going. You want to go?" Those are not male conversations unless they're intentional. So we need to be intentional.
Yes.
Men are by nature, and this is also not a bad thing. Men are by nature solitary. They're willing to stand alone, and there's some good aspects of that. But we need to take that in consideration and make sure we're not just giving them information, but we're giving them a genuine invitation. I would say even when we go to the conference and we have men who are doing trainings, introducing their trainings, what we found is that guys might be inclined to go to this subject matter, but because this person who's doing a subject they really didn't expect to, gave a strong invitation, not just information, that they end up tending to go to that one. Men will go where they're invited, not just where they're informed. So key words here, invitation trumps information. So we've talked about 4 tips now. Key 1, personal invitation. Can hand off to you guys. What do we have next?
Go ahead, Thomas.
Well, next, I believe, is men understand deadlines. So here's the thing. We talked last week about the fact that men are patient, and that we need to be patient. I should say that we need to be patient. And I had alluded to the fact that there does come a time when we have to be a little bit more direct. And we do have to understand that, guys, we all live our lives as men under the positive pressure of deadlines. We understand this in the marketplace. We understand this in our personal lives. In extending these invitations, as we extend invitations, as we become visible, and as we be patient, we do understand that there does come a time where we have to present to men the fact that there's a deadline. And we do that by reminding them that, hey, are you in? You joining us? We're rolling this week. We're rolling in a couple of weeks. We're rolling in a couple of days. Are you in? Are you out? So there does come a time that we have to do that. And again, what we're doing here is we're just encouraging you that this is what churches who to do a good job at this is what they understand that needs to be done. There does come a time where you have to fish or cut bait. So men do understand deadlines, and we want to work within that parameters, understanding that that's how we're wired. So, guys, you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I would say let's bring this all the way back to what we started with in our last podcast. We started with be patient, men are different. We started with Rex taking us through the grid, how a godly, other-centered man is processing even a good invite through, well, I wonder what my wife has going on for that weekend. Is there a way that I can free her up? Because that's the way he's wired, to free up his wife. Do my kids have stuff going on? Are there games? Are there events? Because I love my kids. I want my kids more than anybody else. So I might have to say no to that. So he has time to kind of process it. What does that look like? And it just, frankly, his life and work. I mean, not all work is 8 to 5, Monday, Friday. A lot of that brings itself in, if nothing else, in just pure exhaustion from the working. Yes. So guys are processing this information and invitation early in the experience, let's just say 6-7 weeks out, differently than what Thomas is talking about. We're now a couple weeks out. We're pulling together the roster. There's an early deadline of 10 days. If we're going to get that early deadline, if we're going to be able to get lunch, then we've got to go ahead and sign up now. So when do you need my decision? Today. Oh, okay. Yeah, men understand deadlines, and they'll give you. Now, there's still going to be stragglers. I would say at Iron Sharpens Iron, we go out of our way to make it easy for you as a leader to make the invitations and to add to that group. My counsel usually is to get a group registered at that early rate. And once you do that, we allow you to add on to that early rate. We're not going to punish the guys later. We probably should, but we don't. We allow them to add on to your early rate. But you as a leader, whoever registers the group needs to register at least a couple weeks out.
And another thing on a deadline too is never end your deadline on a Saturday or Sunday. End your deadline on a Monday. Okay? Because what you have it allowed to do is Sunday night send out a last email and said if your plans have changed or whatever else, let me know by noon tomorrow, and you can still be added to the list. Because sometimes a guy doesn't get to work until Monday and he sees whether his schedule has changed or his schedule is messed up or whatever else. Sometimes it's not until Sunday night when the husband and the wife really sit down at the last minute and discuss the week's schedule. Okay? That's why you send out an email late Sunday night so it's on his phone on Monday morning when he wakes up. And then you give him that last opportunity, last couple of hours to meet that deadline. So just a little trick. So,
and I need to be reminded that although this is front and center in my mind, front and center in my life, I'm trying to recruit men for my church. I'm thinking about it. I'm rejoicing when guys say yes. I'm a little discouraged when a guy says no. Most of the guys in the church forgot that there's a men's conference coming on. They go, right. Oh yeah. Right. Oh, here's the line, right? Oh yeah. When is that thing anyway? Yep. I'd be like, man, we've been talking about this for like 5 weeks, bro. Yep. Where have you been? Yeah, I'm sorry. I got other stuff going on. Be patient, men are different. That also that pretty much takes us all the way through the conference recruiting experience. Because it is an experience, and that's where we're going to go next. The experience of a conference is different. It's not a go in, do your worship thing, and hit the road. It's an experience. It's an extended time together. It includes traveling to, it includes dining together, lunch, it includes traveling back, it includes processing life because it's called Iron Sharpens Iron. So Rex, take us down that road of the conference experience.
Yeah, it's like Brian said, is set a time when you leave your church, ride together, travel together. The cool part is pull over, grab a cup of coffee, get a biscuit, If you go into a Dunkin' Donut and you use Thomas's name, you get half price on your coffee. I mean, because he's known in every one of them. So try that. Let me know if it works when you get there. But seriously, guys, really ride together, grab a biscuit together, just little things like that. When you get to the conference, there's always coffee provided. Work the vendors together, go through, check out, see who's there, see what's going on, sit together. There's nothing like sitting together, worshiping together. You're going to get a break. One of our suggestions is don't all of you pile in the same seminar. Each one of you hit a different seminar, hit different things. When you get to go to lunch, here's the cool part: lunch. We have found lunch is probably one of the most valuable parts of the day because guys go around and they sit around and they eat lunch together. Instead of just talking about the weather and things, what would it look like if you talked about what you're seeing and what you're learning in your seminars? Man, that is just really cool.
Yes.
At lunchtime, I go out and walk around to all the tents. One thing is somebody's always cooking and grilling a good hot dog. Always. Okay. And then these guys have just got their tents set up and they're having conversations and fellowship and things like that. That's why I go outside and walk around just to kind of, hey man, how you enjoying the day and things like that. Good stuff happens under those tents at lunch, and then they come back and one of the things that I really want to suggest to you is, and you don't really hear a lot about this, before you even leave the conference, have a date of the following week of a day that night that you're going to get together. Ask all the guys to come together just for one night, maybe two. It might go to 2 nights, but
Mhm.
just get each man to talk about the seminar that he went to, the seminars he went to, and
Right.
discuss a little bit about what he gets. In the conference brochures that we give out to every man, there's 3 pages in there. There's the morning keynote, there's the morning seminar, the after seminar, and there's a takeaway page. Guys, get your men to take advantage of those pages and go back at the end of the conference. One of the worst things you can do is go have this conference experience and go back to
Mm,
nothing.
Right.
that's right. That's
And
right.
there's plenty of ways of doing
Yep.
this. I'm
Yep.
just going to give you what my church did for years after an Iron Sharpens Iron conference. Now, senior pastors, this is something that you may have to plan into your Sunday morning. So the Sunday after the Saturday, we would simply invite guys if they wanted to come up and share a highlight from the men's event. First of all, I just thought that was outstanding. And then what happened is that the entire congregation, men who went, men who didn't go, women, children, youth, all got to see and hear adult men sharing how God had instructed them, moved in their heart, what they were going to do under the lordship of Christ, the changes that they were going to make as a result of the men's conference. In some ways, that was more powerful than the
Mm,
entire conference experience because
Yeah.
the body of Christ saw adult men who were
Yeah.
yielding to the lordship of Christ. You want your women and children to see men of faith growing. That's one opportunity right there. But it's going to have to be intentional, just like Rex said. You're going to have to put together a plan. If you don't do something like that, the next Saturday or Saturday after, make sure you're gathering men. As you know, Thomas, Rex, and I, we put on these events. What we don't want, what we dread, is that this would be an isolated event.
Oh,
So,
yep.
that's right.
you pick up tools, you pick up resources, pick them up at the conference, bring them home, put them to work, get your small group using them, all those type of things. Take the conference, the 1 day conference, and they bring it into the life of the discipleship of your men.
Yeah, I just want to echo that, Brian. It's so important, and it's particularly senior pastors and executive pastors who are on the call. It's so important that you view this and see this as a resource for your church.
Yes.
So a lot of churches put on their own men's conferences, which is a great idea. But the thing is, if you're putting on a men's conference at your church, your men are serving there. If
Yes.
they're serving, they have no way to get fed. Well, this is an opportunity for you to release all of your men to a world-class conference provider who's been doing this for over 20 years. The opportunity for you to send your men to an opportunity for a one-day opportunity to be equipped where all they do is come and get fed and connect with each other, and also come back with resources that they can instill into the local church. So
Right.
Our heart is to serve you.
Yeah.
Our heart is to help you do what you're doing with your men, not to be in any way a competition, any way to deliver a different message. But we're here to serve you and to help you grow your men in your men's ministry.
And just one thing on top of that, Thomas, is pastors and men's leaders, we're not trying to steal your men. Okay. Our churches are in Florida, Connecticut, and Virginia. Okay. We're not going to steal your men to come to our churches. Like Thomas said, this is an opportunity for men to come together to worship God on Saturday, like they're not doing on Sunday. This is an opportunity for men to come and get tools from guys that this is their world that they speak in, and they get to come and get tools that they can apply into their life. Because one thing we all three have learned is when you build men, everyone
wins. That's right.
Okay, so we've been working through these 6 tips. Maybe Rex, throw them up on the screen again. The 6 tips are designed for the men's leader, for a small group leader, anybody who's extended an invitation to other men. Be patient, men are different. You need visibility. You really need Sunday visibility. Remember, although you want Sunday visibility, the conference is on a Saturday, and it's different. It's not just another Sunday service. Guys need a personal invite. Yes, they need information, but they need guys like you or me to ask, hey, you want to go to this together?
Yep.
They understand deadlines. For sure, you understand deadlines, because there is a time and place where you've got to do your registration. Mm-hmm. Guys understand that. You're patient with them through the process, but then you call them out when it's time. And finally, it's an experience. The day's an experience. It's not a come in, come out. There are multiple things going on. And I would just remind you that the ministry is iron sharpens iron. Where does that come from? Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. The most important thing that's really going on at this men's conference, the reason there's some margin, the reason there's breaks and lunch, traveling to, traveling back, is that we can be sharpening one another. In some ways, the conference is a platform for that. The content's great, but the sharpening is what makes a difference. Lord, I pray that as we plan and prepare for this spring's men's conferences, that you'd give us courage and faith to step out and execute the tips that we've learned over the years, and that we simply give every man that personal invitation. We ask today for your unmerited favor as we take these steps of faith. Please hear our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Great to be with you guys.
Good to be.